Is it a make or break year for Kalen DeBoer at Alabama in 2026? Let's break it down. We continue our record prediction series with the Alabama Crimson Tide. As always, I'm going to break down what they lost, what they returned, and what they added. Welcome into One of One Sports. I'm your host, John Barry, and this is a team I talked about a bit at the start with the Kalen DeBoer hot seat that you've got to really break through because you were a dynasty for years under Nick Saban, and it's kind of tapered out under Kalen DeBoer. You want to get back to feeling like you're on the mountaintop. Let's see what it's looking like. With key losses, there's a lot. On the offensive side of the ball, you lose Ty Simpson, who was a first-round draft pick NFL quarterback, pick 13 to the Los Angeles Rams. He was really good in his 1 year starting for you. That's a huge loss. Caden Proctor was your best offensive lineman. He's not the only offensive lineman you lost, but he was the most key, and he was a first-round pick in the NFL draft. Another really big loss. That one kind of literally as well, 6'7" offensive lineman. Jam Miller, leading rusher, he's gone. And that leading rusher, only 511 yards. You just couldn't run the ball last year, but even more concerning, you couldn't run the ball, and maybe your best running back's gone. In the receiving room, Jeremy Bernard was your number one. He's gone. Isaiah Horton was your number three, transferred to A&M. Josh Cuevas was your starting tight end, off to the NFL. Major losses on the offensive side of the ball. Then defensively, you lost a bunch of key linebackers. Dante Lawson was your leading tackler. Justin Jefferson was your second leading tackler. N'Keal Hill-Green was your fourth leading tackler. All linebackers, all gone. So that second level of the defense, you got a lot of replenishing to do there. You also lost LT Overton, who was probably your best defensive player at defensive end. He's in the NFL. You lost Damani Jackson, your top corner. You lost Tim Keenan, who, if it wasn't LT Overton, he was your best defensive line player. So also big losses on the defensive side of the ball. Overall, Alabama just lost a lot, but Alabama usually loses a lot. So let's see what they bring back, and then we'll talk about additions. You bring back Keelan Russell and Austin Mack. Now, neither of them played a whole lot, obviously, at quarterback because Ty Simpson was playing, but they were both on the roster, and one of them's a key returnee because one of them's winning the starting job, and we don't know who it's going to be. It's obviously very close, or they would have probably said by now, and I think it's clear, or at least to me, it seems pretty clear what's going on here, is that Austin Mack is the more veteran player who's been with Kalen DeBoer longer. That means he knows the system better. He's probably a safer option. He's probably making less mistakes. And he's probably more ready to go week one of the college football season. But Keelan Russell is clearly, and you see as by his recruiting ranking, you can see if you watch him throw the ball probably one time, and I'm sure if you're at spring practice, he makes these crazy plays. He is clearly a superior talent up there with arguably the best talents in all of college football at the quarterback position. Like, he is that talented, but they think there's clearly more boom or bust because I'm sure for every wow play he's making, there's also times where it's like, oh, he's just not reading as well as Austin Mack, or oh, he's not as familiar with the system. So there's a bit more boom or bust with Keelan Russell where, yeah, he has the upside of being like a top 10 Heisman contending quarterback if things go right, but he also has more downside than Austin Mack, who's probably like, we feel like we know what we're going to get. That's probably what the tough thing is there. Then Ryan Coleman Williams is back. Probably remember him from his true freshman season towards Georgia with the spin move on the sideline. Bit of a sophomore slump, hoping he regains freshman form. Latavius Brooks kind of broke out last year at receiver. He's also back. And then Daniel Hill at running back was your second leading rusher, which wasn't a whole lot, only like 200-something yards. But he is back. And then Michael Carroll is one of your returning offensive linemen. I think he's the most key. He's going into his sophomore year, former 5-star. I think he has the biggest potential to actually be a star on the offensive line. So that's why I put him as the key returnee. Defensively, Pierre, kind of outside linebacker, edge type, was probably your best pass rusher last season. And you're going to need him to be even better because we'll talk about it in a moment, but the front seven's a little bleak in terms of quarterback pressure. So Pierre is very key, and it's a good thing you got him back. But then the rest is in what is a ridiculous secondary. Bray Hubbard is arguably the best safety in America. I put him up there with the likes of KJ Bolden, Corey Perrick at Georgia, Oregon, respectively. He is that good. Probably your best player last year on the defensive side of the ball. He's back. Xavier Brown could be an All-American at corner. He's back. And then Dijon Lee, really good corner as well. Keon Sabb, really good safety. So all the secondary is absolutely loaded. And then what did you add to the roster? Noah Rogers was supposed to be your big wide receiver addition. He's going to be out for a while. He comes from NC State, formerly Ohio State before that. He is a good receiver. He's just injured, unfortunately. Caleb Woodson comes in, help the linebacker core. And then you brought in a bunch of offensive linemen and defensive linemen who are on the two deep, and it's not clear the pecking order. Like a guy like Devin Tompkins came in from USC, I thought was going to start. Looks like he might be in the bench part of the rotation. So there's just a lot of them to list. Not sure which ones are going to be the key. Not even sure which ones will emerge as starters, but they are there, which is kind of an unfamiliar situation with Alabama. And then you also brought in, as Alabama always does, a bunch of five-star freshmen. These are the ones I think can make an impact. EJ Crowell, if he gets healthy at running back. Morgan is a receiver who I think could be in the rotation. And then Griffin is a linebacker, which I think there's opportunity there as well to emerge. And with that being said, let's take a look at the schedule. All right, we've got the schedule over here, and I do have to say on the front end, like this is an unfamiliar situation for Alabama because I came into this expecting more than what I saw when I did the roster evaluation. Don't get me wrong, there's still stuff to like outside of just the script A. I do like Kalen DeBoer as a coach. He's won pretty much everywhere he's went, but he's lost a few games the past few years. And yes, you're Alabama, and there are these 5 stars and you recruit really well, but you don't have the talent that you used to, and a lot of it transfers away, and a lot of guys haven't developed like they used to in the past. And outside of the secondary, I don't know what I view as the strength because the front 7 outside of Pierre is pretty bleak. The running back room is kind of bleak given what you looked like last year, and the offensive line. Do I expect it's going to be better when you lost Caden Proctor, first round pick to the NFL draft? Do I think your QB play is going to be better with Austin Mack or Keelan Russell when your last year guy went 13th in the draft? Do I think your receivers are better when you lost Bernard and Horton, and maybe we'll see if Coleman Williams can get back to what he was freshman year? Like, there's a lot of either question marks or big concerns on this Alabama team, which is just something I don't usually see coming into the season. That being said, none of that's going to show up in week 1 because you're beating East Carolina, obviously. But then Kentucky is a game where if these things go wrong, you can absolutely lose. And I think it's pretty clear to paint a picture. Just go back last year to when they versed Florida State. 1, Alabama's not showing energy out of the gate to start the season against an inferior opponent. 2, you're on the road. You're on the road to the SEC, but you're on the road in college football against a power opponent, right? That's always tough, especially if you're starting Keelan Russell, where it's a guy making his first ever start on the road. I guess that might be the case for Austin Mack too, but Keelan Russell, younger, could he throw an interception or 2 in a close game? That could be the difference. Of course he could if he's a young, flawed quarterback. And then the other thing is just Kentucky, maybe the biggest strength of their team is Will Stein's offensive mind and the offensive line. If Alabama doesn't have a pass rush and can't stop the run, potentially, depending on what the interior looks like, Kentucky's offensive line, sounds crazy to say, but just bullies Alabama, then you're getting 5 yards of carry. And then Kenny Minchey, Notre Dame transfer with Will Stein, what he's done for Bo Nix, starts picking apart in the secondary, has to load the box, so they're vulnerable. Like, I could definitely see a world where Kentucky wins this game. That being said, I don't think it's going to be this world because I'm not picking Kentucky to beat Alabama. It's just not going to happen. But in week 2, I'm not going to be like, hey, look out for Alabama. Look out, this is dangerous. I will be saying that, but I am going to pick Alabama in large part. Yes, they're Alabama and they're Kentucky. It's biased, but yeah, that's what it's going to be. You're going to beat Florida State. 1, you're not taking them lightly after last year, and you're once again way better than them like you were last year, just didn't show up. This time you do. Florida State not going to be good in my opinion. You get the win, and then you're also at home against South Carolina, who has some really talented players. Lenore Sellers, Dylan Stewart, Nick Harper. These are some absolute freak athletes, but I think you're going to get the win. 1, because you're at home, which South Carolina going to Tuscaloosa going to be very difficult, especially for a night game, which this is. But I also think you're finding your rhythm a little bit after some tests. Like Kentucky, I think will test you. Florida State, I think will show you something. I think you'll be ready for the South Carolina game. And then Mississippi State, unfortunately for Jeff Lebby, I think will find themselves towards the bottom of the conference once again, even on the road. I'm not concerned. And that is when you face Georgia. And if you saw my Georgia prediction video, which you should watch, check out all of them in the playlist. This video is in all my record predictions, shameless plug there. But I broke down that Georgia basically has played Alabama in the following seasons. They faced in 2008 and Alabama won. They faced in 2012 and Alabama won, in 2015, in 2017, in 2018, in 2020, and Alabama won all those. And then they faced in 2021. Alabama won, but Georgia won the rematch. 2023, Alabama won. 24, Alabama won. 2025, Alabama won, but Georgia won the rematch. So you have to go back to 2007 for when Georgia beat Alabama in a regular season game. So I say all that to say, yeah, I'm picking Alabama. Yeah, one, it's history, and you could say the past doesn't matter, but I mean, the past is gonna kind of inform what I'm going to predict to happen. Like, I'm not just gonna pick things out of nowhere. And then the other thing is, Kalen DeBoer is consistently giving Kirby Smart problems as well. Yeah, Kirby Smart had a Nick Saban problem. Then it was Kirby Smart might have an Alabama problem. Yes, he beat him in the conference championship game, but again, that was a rematch. This won't be a rematch. And even if you go on to look at Oregon and Dan Lanning runs similar system, Kalen DeBoer beat him too. So I think you beat Georgia. Don't think you're beating Tennessee, though. This is a Tennessee team that I think could be finding their rhythm in the middle of the year. Also may have a young quarterback in Faison Brandon, who could be a true freshman. And I think Tennessee has some of the things to exploit Alabama. A really, really strong offensive line and linebacker play, and that can kind of make Alabama have to throw the ball because you're not getting things through on the second level. And we'll see what Russell or Matt can do. And I think Tennessee's defense will be good enough, and a Josh Heupel offense with the offensive line that good will be able to put up enough points at home in Neyland to defeat Alabama. This is a brutal 3-game stretch. Georgia, Tennessee, Texas A&M is really tough. I think you're coming out of it 2-1 because the Aggies, I do not think are going into Tuscaloosa and going to win. I actually think the Aggies are also taking a step back, losing a guy like Casey Concepcion, losing Colin Klein to Kansas State, who I really like. I think that could mean a little bit of a regression for Marcel Reed. I do like Mike Elko a lot, and I think it's a talented team, but I think their offensive line is going to downgrade. Not that it'll be terrible, but you've had some really good guys that aren't going to be there. I think they both take a step back this year. You know, could Texas A&M win this game? Would it be shocking? Not at all. I think in these 3 games, you have 2 at home, you have 1 on the road. You win the 2 home, lose the 1 on the road. Could you go 1-2? Easily Georgia can beat you. You could flip all of them. They could lose to Georgia, lose to A&M, beat Tennessee. That wouldn't shock me. I'm going with this 2-1 before you get the bye week and go into your break. Speaking of taking a break, let's take a quick moment to talk about my new college football stock market simulator. It's a game I just made free to play, and every Power 4 team is set at an initial stock price. Think a team is undervalued? Simple. Invest and watch them go up over the course of the year if they perform better than they're supposed to. The goal is to make the most money by the end. You can play in private leagues with your friends or compete on the global leaderboard. I'll have links and stuff down below for anyone to play and try out. And if you guys enjoy it, or if you don't, make sure to let me know what you think. With that being said, back to the video. And out of your break, I don't like it. I think you're losing to LSU and Lane Kiffin because LSU, I think this is like the worst time to play them. They'll be coming off a bye late into the year. This is exactly when, well, they'll be well rested, like you're well rested, but all those 41, 42 transfers have now had 8 weeks into the season or 9 weeks, whatever it is. You're all gelling together. Lane Kiffin is fully doing what he wants. Sam Levitt fully integrated into the system. The wide receiver thing is settled. Young guys have developed on the defensive front. I think this is the worst time to go into Death Valley at night all season, and I'm sure it will be a night game. And for those reasons, I think Alabama's going to lose. But you beat Vanderbilt, who I expect to be starting Jared Curtis as a true freshman. You beat Chattanooga, obviously. And then in the Iron Bowl, Alec Golish's first year in the Iron Bowl, quarterback Byron Brown. I could see giving this Alabama defense some troubles. I could see him giving a lot of people this season some trouble. I think he is very good, and Auburn has some talent. And I expect them to put up points with Alex Golish, who I think is a really good offensive mind coming from that Josh Heupel system. But in Bryant Denny, in the Iron Bowl, I don't think Golish is winning year 1. I don't think Auburn is the caliber of team Alabama is, even though I was disappointed by Alabama. I'm going to have them finishing 10-2. Now, am I confident in this 10-2? No, it's the way it broke for me. But when I was looking at this roster, it felt more like a 9-3 roster. So if you wanted to talk me into a Georgia loss or an A&M loss, I could see it. Right now, though, 10-2, which should be enough to sneak into the college football playoff, maybe enough to get into the SEC championship, and we'll see what I have from there. Let me know, though, what do you think of my predictions? What would you change? What's your record prediction? Check out my other college football prediction videos. Make sure to like, subscribe. I'll see you next time.